This session is entitled Enhancing Regional Contributions to Codex and Harmonization of the Standards in the Region, in the Arab region. This session is brought to us with the contribution of the Food and Beverage Regulations Committee of Dubai, a member of the Global Network of American Chambers of Commerce. This committee was created to help the development of a robust collaboration platform between companies based in the UAE seeking to create a favorable regulatory environment in the Gulf Cooperation Council countries. A number of other contributors also helped us, set this session up, including, of course, our host, the Municipality of Dubai, as well as the Global Food Regulatory Science Society. Again, I would like to start by thanking our contributors and all our participants for making yourselves available during this event. I hope that we will use this as an opportunity to discuss some of the progress that has been achieved in the way of developing a more coordinated food regulatory environment in the Arab region, but also being able to discuss some of the challenges that are still being experienced by the various stakeholders and perhaps shape a path forward for further progress and further building blocks in this effort of harmonization. Of course, when we speak about harmonization, it's very hard not to mention the Codex Alimentarius Commission, because again, in the world of food standards, Codex remains the reference for all. And an important part of our discussions will be devoted to the way the region, countries of the region align with Codex standards. We have structured this webinar in the form of 3 panels. We will be discussing, in fact, some of the recent efforts and achievements in the Arab region towards coordination and harmonization or convergence. We'll be looking at the way the region contributes to Codex proceedings. And finally, we will try also to learn from other experiences and have an international lens to this particular efforts as part of our lessons learned and opportunities to further develop this effort of harmonization and convergence. I will be actually sharing the moderation of this session with my colleague Rola Arab, who is actually right now with us from Beirut. Rola, with other colleagues from the Dubai Municipality, helped actually set the session together and contributed with our panelists in shaping the program. So we will be alternating in the moderation of the session with Rola. I will be starting, in fact, this discussion with a short presentation. Hopefully, I'll try to keep it short in this regard, where I'm going to try to position essentially this workshop in the context of the current efforts towards essentially food regulatory convergence in the Arab region. And perhaps actually starting by the very first question, why this continued discussion of food regulatory convergence in the region? Well, first of all, this is not a singularity of the Arab region per se. A number of regions in the world have been working on food regulatory integration as an enabler, in fact, to their economic development, to improved market access opportunities, and particularly in support of a number of free trade agreements being developed at the regional and sub-regional level. And this encompasses, of course, food and agri-food commodities. Again, the intent is to stimulate trade within the same region, but also to stimulate trade throughout the world. Now, the Arab region has a number of opportunities that helps it, in fact, move forward in this regard. And first of all, there is, in fact, a free trade agreement that was signed amongst a number of countries of the region under the name of the PAFTA, or the Pan-Arab Free Trade Area. And as a result, a number of commitments were made towards SPS coordination. So that is coordination of sanitary and phytosanitary measures as part of the structures of the League of Arab States. And there's also another potential that is important to mention, and that is the fact that intra-regional trade remains very low in the region, and therefore represents an untapped potential that will merit further development. Now, several efforts and investments have been witnessed over the last period, and perhaps what is noteworthy is the initiative that was implemented by the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, UNIDO, between 2016 and 2019, in collaboration with the League of Arab States and two of its subsidiary organizations, the Arab Organization for Agricultural Development and the Arab Industrial Development and Mining Organization. This initiative was funded by the Swedish International Development Agency. One of the key developments as a result of this initiative is the creation of a standing structure for coordination under the name of the Arab Task Force on Food Safety, which is essentially a specialized high-level steering group encompassing representatives from food safety competent authorities in the Arab region. And I would say one of the key achievements is the endorsement at the political level, so essentially at the level of the League of Arab States, of this particular structure and its integration as part of the decision-making processes of the League and the governance structure of the League. Now, this regional coordination mechanism also enabled to deliver on some specific initiatives, what we would consider as building blocks for further coordination and for further integration of food regulatory measures. And you see, in fact, under this representation, a number of initiatives that are noteworthy. An Arab rapid alert system for food and feed, particularly focusing on policies, efforts to unify procedures and protocols for inspection and certification, and an important initiative that we're going to be mentioning later today, an Arab Codex initiative. There was also another initiative that will be developed in one of our first talks, and that is an effort to develop a common approach to set regional standards. Now, of course, when you develop initiatives of this nature, by experience, things work well while the initiative is under implementation, but the main question remains the sustainability of the effort, the ability to continue essentially building on those achievements on the long run. And these are some of the points that I would like to discuss, and this is a modest contribution that we have been making as part of our platform of food risk analysis and regulatory excellence in Université Laval. We contributed in training a network of Arab scientists in food risk assessment with also exposure to food risk analysis. And our intent and our objective is essentially to maintain this particular network. Most recently, we received support from the US Department of Agriculture through the Codex office to contribute in further sustaining the efforts of Codex contribution of Arab countries and also strengthening Codex capacities, Codex structures in the Middle East and North Africa region, so essentially amongst countries of the Coordinating Committee for the Near East. And we are supported in this effort through the creation of a non-for-profit body that, in fact, has been shared, or at least the concept of which has been shared as part of our meetings in Dubai on the margin of the Dubai International Food Safety Conference in 2019. We shaped the path forward for the creation of a global food regulatory science society, which is going to be an arm for the delivery of these projects. Let me share perhaps a few words on our Codex initiative. And I would like to preface this by saying that these are initial plans that have been developed at this stage of the start of the implementation of the project, where we are aiming really to sustain the investments that have been made through the Arab Codex initiative and maximize their impacts. But this initiative and its deliverables will need to be further shaped and further informed by the contribution of countries and actors of the region, and particularly through the contribution of and the leadership of the newly appointed coordinator for the CC Near East. So essentially under the auspices of the FAO-WHO Codex Coordinating Committee for the Near East. And amongst what we're trying to do is, of course, to support further coordination in the preparation of positions with respect to key Codex committees by an attempt also to prioritize these committees. We're looking also at further engagement of Near East delegations during the committee preparation, either through meetings with physical meetings or via virtual means. We know that the region is not homogeneous, and in fact, we have already sub-regional structures within the region, whether be it in the Arab Maghreb or in the Gulf Cooperation Council countries. So essentially, we will be looking also to develop further coordination at the sub-regional level, wherever, in fact, these efforts of coordination will be helpful to promote effective participation and effective contribution to Codex proceedings. And of course, we know that the strength of Codex participation comes as well from the capacity, the ability of the Codex infrastructure at the national level. And in this regard, the Arab Codex Initiative invested in the development of a number of guidelines, in a number of tools that have been developed over the last period. And our intent is really to leverage this effort and essentially to further propagate it. Now, of course, we don't participate in Codex for our, I would say, single interest to Codex, but essentially for the benefit that that brings to enhancing the capacity of the food control system in the country. And of course, we will be looking very much at maximizing the impact of the contribution to Codex proceedings and Codex work in the way we shape the food regulatory measures in the country, but of course to drive the harmonization or this effort at least of convergence of food regulatory provisions. As I mentioned, in this regard, we'll look at the community of scientists that is joining us progressively as part of the Global Food Regulatory Science Society. And we will be looking again at the contribution of everybody, including all stakeholders here, and hopefully through the discussions that we're going to have today, we will have more ideas as to how we can shape this effort further. So that's really how I wanted to start this session, by trying to position our discussions for the upcoming period, and once again acknowledging all those that made this meeting possible for the next hour and a half. So thank you very much, and I guess with this, Rola, I'm just going to give the floor back to you to moderate the first panel.
Thank you, Sami. Thank you, Samuel. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining the panel discussion. Thank you, Samuel, for highlighting the different opportunities and programs that are currently supporting Arab countries to increase the efforts to develop a common framework for standard development. Some major challenges were clearly addressed at the last FAO-WHO Coordinating Committee for the Near East, where member states highlighted some of the challenges they're facing at national level and regional level, such as the use of different standards, the use of different international references across the region, as well as the lack of awareness on the importance of Codex work, lack of expertise and capacity in some areas, as well as the absence of effective collaboration and coordination between concerned authorities. But member states also identified a number of areas of action for the coming years, such as improving national capacities and sharing data and expertise among member states. And the programs you highlighted, Samuel, will surely help in that area, as well as implementing Codex standards as a basis for harmonizing national food safety risk management systems and standards, implementing a regional food safety early warning system, and engaging in the implementation of the Codex strategic plan for 2020-2025. And the role and importance of Codex was also highlighted by the League of Arab States, who are currently encouraging member states to harmonize national food safety legislation with Codex standards.